Thank you, Sam. There should be a presentation starting soon, I guess. I'm not sure if I need to press something to start it. There you go. Okay. So I think this fits rather nicely with the discussions we've had in the introductory session. Our effort as SDSN Youth mobilizing young people around different areas in support of the implementation of the SDGs is really taking different forms. And one which has been like one of the flagship initiatives of SDSN Youth since our foundation, 2015, has been the Youth Solutions Program. What is the niche within the work of SDSN Youth that the Youth Solutions Program fills? It's a niche, as Sam was saying, of innovation, of solutions, and how we can mobilize youth-led innovation across the board for the implementation of the SDGs by leveraging our partnerships, by leveraging the network of experts that SDSN has and that we collaborate with. One thing we've heard in the previous session is that no country is on track to achieve the SDGs by 2030. We're still not there. And one of the things that I like the most when experts and people talk about how we get to implement the SDGs is something that Dr. Zroll, Institute of Innovation and Public Purpose, together with Director Mariana Mazzucato, says a lot, which is that innovation will deliver the SDGs. We need mission-oriented innovation that can guide all stakeholders, not just young people, of course, but entrepreneurs in the private sector and research and development towards an agenda that is the agenda for sustainable development. And within that, said Mariana Mazzucato recently when endorsing our new edition of the Youth Solutions Report, youth plays a huge part in this solutions-oriented process. Why? We know a lot of this story about how we tell ourselves also the story a lot, which is the story of youth, of today's youth being the most educated generation in history, being extremely skilled, and in fact, when we think of the concept of solution, the concept of, which applies across the board to business models, to institutional mechanisms, to social innovation, we can think very easily of so many huge successes in the past years that were driven by people who were students, who were young professionals. Actually most of the tech giants of today were founded by people who were students. Some of them may be a bit controversial, but that's the concept. We have a huge potential, but we need to tap into it, and we need to understand what are the systemic barriers to having youth at the center of this mission-oriented process. Youth Solutions, as demonstrated by the previous editions of the Youth Solutions Report, by your work on solutions, which now is a growing and huge cohort, are everywhere. We have youth-led innovation coming from all countries. I'll tell something about it in a minute. But most of our innovators tend to share the same challenges, regardless of where they're coming, regardless of whether it's high-tech solutions, whether it's makeshift innovation. And these are lack of access to capital and startup funding. These are lack of access to mentoring opportunities, lack of access to new networks and visibility, and also lack of training sometimes to stimulate and build even more SDG alignment in what they do. So this is something that is actually in the Institute of Innovation and Public Purpose working paper. This applies to innovation in general. It's the concept that you need systems, because these challenges are not challenges that need to be seen as separately. We need to take a system of innovation across the board that it's usually driven by all the actors, also by government. It's not just about funders, it's not just about experts. So the concept of how you create systemic innovation for solutions is really about education, but it's also about science and technology-related services. It's about financing. It's about the wider political and socioeconomic context. And this applies to young people as well. This applies to the challenges of young people and the youth constituencies in many countries. Actually, sometimes it's even exacerbated because a young person is more likely to have more difficult access to innovation, to credit or financial services when starting a new social business, for example. So this is why the Youth Solutions Program has tried to, work on this kind of systems approach to the way that we support innovation over the past few years. We really have innovators coming from different walks of life, applying to join our Youth Solutions Hub, which is the ecosystem where we bring together toolkits for them, experts and mentors from within SDSN. We facilitate collaboration with the mentors and with each other, and we provide them with investment readiness programs. Actually, the third edition just started a couple of weeks ago to train them even further and to refine their pitches for investors. We share fundraising opportunities together with Rustom. As Jeff was saying, we're going to work even more now on raising funds for the most promising of the solutions that we have in our cohort. And then, of course, we use the Youth Solutions Report. The third edition came out at the end of September, was announced at the UNGA, to use all these experiences also as a policy advocacy tool to make sure that governments and everyone who's in place, who's in power to create more inclusive and more innovative systems to support solutions acts, not just individual funders and individual mentors. And we've been doing quite well. This is sort of some numbers about our impact, which has grown over the years. More than 4,700 solutions we've received over 175 countries of origin. Every year we'd select 50. This year we even managed to raise funds to support 5 of the nonprofit one through a partnership with the Global Youth Empowerment Fund. And the wider impact of the program, we've trained people through the Investment Readiness Program. We have onboarded more than 300 members in the Youth Solutions Hub. We have so many mentors and partnerships also that are on board. But the reason why we're presenting this once again here is that we need more. And there are different ways to support us, and this is really the place where we need to talk about these things. I'd focus just on 3 points. One, we need more funding. We need people who are happy to invest and create patient funding streams to support youth-led innovation. Second, we need regulatory environments that are more inclusive of young people and of youth-led innovation. So the role of stakeholders in the public sector is also very important. And finally, we need more mentors, we need more peers that are able and willing to join the hub and to join our cohort of innovators to try to support them and to try to interact with one another to scale and implement new solutions. Thank you so much. I'll listen to some of the presentation. Unfortunately, I have to leave early, but any question I'll try to deal with also afterwards if there are any. Thank you so much.